1,099 days later, the North American Racing League has finally exchanged the GT3 cars used so popularly worldwide for another incredibly popular car, the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. Switching into the brand new 992.2 variant, this Porsche Cup car and Porsche Cup Series is reinvigorated and ready to take on the world's finest circuits over 16 days of racing. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and to the virtual Hockenheim, Germany. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Chris Winstone alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of NARL Porsche Cup Season 4. Tonight's coverage from Hockenheim is brought to you by Maradness, by I'm used to it, by Love46, thank you for being here, Love, and also Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. We got to break the mold a little bit here, Chris, get out of the flow of the last 3 literal years of North American Racing League racing and get back into Porsche Cup territory. Forget the GT3 cars. While this car is very similar to the GT3 format, it just simply is not a GT3 car. It's got some differences. Past iterations of this car have lacked ABS. This car technically now has it, but you and I were just talking about how it doesn't feel super effective in most braking zones, and frankly, it's just a little bit different from the big, heavy GT3 car. Not by much, but it is.
Yeah, it's a particularly tricky car to drive. It's a great one for kind of learning, if you wanted to get to the GT3s, honestly, as well. There's, like you said, there's similarities. But I took this one out. I took the Cup car out here on this, or the Porsche Cup out here on Hockenheim about a week or two ago, and I was struggling quite a bit. The brakes can be a bit finicky. Feels like you can't really get too deep on them. So it's good. We're gonna see a lot of showcase of driver skill, and we'll see who comes out at the top. But it's looking pretty close so far.
And things to note with this new Porsche Cup car that is brand new for 2026, the 992.2. It is, of course, still based on the production Porsche 911 GT3. It is also sporting the same 4-liter flat 6 boxer engine, 520 horsepower. You see the torque numbers and peak horsepower numbers, but it's got a massive fuel cell, 29 gallons and change. It's decently heavy. I was actually comparing this to the GT3 graphic we had for last season. It's right in the middle of that weight range, 2,700 to 2,900 pounds or so. It is, of course, rear-wheel drive, double wishbone front suspension, electric power steering. It's mostly the same. It's just a slightly updated variation of the 991 that we've raced in the past. There is not much new, but the brake, the ABS, that is worth talking about, and it'll be interesting to hear from the drivers all season long what they think of that addition to this car. Let's take a look, though. We're in qualifying, so let's take a look at the schedule and get right to qualifying. We looked at it at the back end of GT3 Season 9. Here we are, Germany, opening up the season this evening, and then we're going off straight to Sebring in July, and that's actually where Season 3 of this series left off, so we're not far removed from going to Sebring International Raceway and respecting those bumps. I was watching a bit of that broadcast back a little bit earlier today, and I'm excited to refresh and get right back to Sebring. It's a fantastic little race course, and certainly from there, it's one of the most iconic in the entire world, Le Mans, for round 3. Long Beach is in there, a fantastic street circuit, maybe behind Monaco, maybe one of the most notable street circuits in the world. Long Beach street course there in Long Beach, California. Monza, certainly, it's Monza and Daytona, their notoriety certainly precedes each of those venues, and then maybe a slightly smaller one at Phillip Island before going to Brazil's, I guess, main racing course, Interlagos. It should be a lot of fun. So a great season ahead, just like always. And if we look briefly at the AM calendar, it's not much different. The dates are slightly skewed slightly differently, a little more of the fall racing for the AM drivers. They get to see how a lot of these pro guys handle the beginning of this season, but we are going AM racing next week right back here at Hockenheim Ring. Let's get into qualifying, though, Chris. That's what everybody's waiting for at this point, right? Everybody wants to see how quick these guys go, and in the iRacing.com session now, let's get straight to it. The guy who just went to pole time, Dino Filippa to the top. Never mind, Gabby Montoro in the 22 now goes up to position number 1. It is the back end of qualifying, but how about a look quickly with Fabrizio bear with us. Belziti, that's the number 18.
Yeah, this is, I think we were talking about it earlier, how close everything is here. So just the tiniest mistake could put you back, several rows. And it's a full house today. I think we got 50 drivers. So you really don't want to get stuck too far back there. Things could get pretty chaotic, especially in a car where the braking is tricky. It's a great onboard shot here, going through this high camber here, getting on the throttle real early, using all that exit. Just really fun to watch these guys just ripping around Hockenheim. I don't have a whole lot of experience on this track, but it's always one of my favorites. I loved when F1 races here. It's always a good one. I'm a Sebastian Vettel fan, so I have some pretty sad memories here, but we don't have to talk about that. So yeah, it looks like Belziti is up there on top, but it's less than half a tenth, and I mean, it's just so close throughout this whole field. It's going to be, I think we're probably going to get some fireworks. You're going to have to get the elbows out and really defend your position. Anything you give up, it's going to be a mountain to climb back up to get yourself out.
Yeah, I do think this will be a relatively physical, at least start to the season, if not continuation at Sebring in a few weeks. Then Le Mans and Long Beach, certainly the first half of this season has the potential to be very, very physical on these drivers, not just in this, sense that the race will demand that of them, but also literally versus one another, maybe a little bit of contact here and there as Nicholas Mateo goes across the line to complete his final lap of qualifying. That will bump him up, not quite to pole, but hey, P6, nothing to scoff at in a field of literally 50 cars. A couple more on the racetrack. There aren't many left out there. In fact, here's a look at Adam Medsaros in the number 27 out of Hungary. Also Jacob Stofko out there in the number 34 out of Canada. Maybe practicing, yes, a standing start. We are going to have standing starts this season. Miguel Colon giving it a shot as well there in the number 87. And that's going to basically do it for qualifying. So as these drivers practice their standing starts and get ready to go racing here at Hockenheimring, let's take a look at the weather conditions here, Chris, brought to you by MXWraps.com. This will switch here in just a second as soon as the session ends, but you see it was about 81 in qualifying, 115 on track. Very, very warm. The humidity not too crazy, thankfully, but this direct sunlight, you see clear skies, not hardly clouds anyways. There's a few dotting the skyline, but really not much in terms of cloud cover. It's baking this track surface. I want to wait here. I'm trying to push here into the segue into the sprint race. What an update. Is that the temp we're getting? 107.3. It's cooled down slightly. Oh, there we go. Never mind. 114, right back up there. I'd love to know what all of the World Cup fans of the U.S. right now think of that. 114-degree track temp. Of course, ambient temp still not bad. 81 point, yeah, back to 7 there. So nothing too crazy. And date and time in the sim here quickly. Set to June 25th. That's why we like it. 3:30 p.m. That'll do it. Decently warm. A quick look at Whiplash SimCam's race details before we hit the grid, and I mean there are a lot of drivers to talk about. 20-minute sprint race to get this evening started, and every evening from here on out there'll be a top 8 invert before we go racing for the 40-minute feature. And you see fixed setups, 45% fuel. Incident limits I believe remain unchanged. We will not see a pit stop in this sprint race. We will in the feature. We mentioned we've got some 50 drivers to go through as they make their final changes to their cars and get ready to go racing this evening, Chris. Let's meet the field, and we have some extra driver photos this season. Thank you to those of you who have submitted them. Let's go ahead and look at them. There will still be a lot of stock images in here, but there are a few that have submitted it, so let's do that. Fabrizio Belziti on pole in the number 18. Gabby Montoro from row number 1 on the outside. Row number 2, Dino Filippa and Roman Pascucci. We know their names very well out of Argentina. Row 3 gives us Rodrigo Mies and Nicolas Mateo out of Spain. Back in row 4, there we go. Some of our handsome gentlemen. Ross O'Connor with Ralph Benitez in row 4, and complete your top 10, Ricardo Rico and Marco Saavedra. I'm going to keep going a little bit here. I think we'll maybe switch off around halfway because there's a lot. So, 11th and 12th, Juan Blaynat, Jackson Rosende. A little farther back, Leandro Lanzendorf and David Toth in the number 41. Further back in 15th, it's Leandro Whirl and Juan, I believe, Segundo Valero. And then a little farther back, you'll find Manuel Troncoso and Paulo Goday, before finally we get Nathan Olson and Gabriel Felipe. And He is actually our first Pro-Am driver in the entire field, starting down in 20th spot. Down to 21st, Brian Scolieri in the number 14, alongside Victor Veloso. A little farther back, Luke Wallace and Fabio Zamperlini. To complete the front half of the field here, Chris, how about Bruno Enrique in the number 101, alongside Victor Lobato?
Yeah, very stacked field. We got Adam Mezaros in 27th, lining up next to Jacob Stufko. Then we move back to Pedro S. Don't know if we have the rest of the name there. And then Scott Rister, our fearless leader there.
I believe that's Pedro de Oliveira. The way his name
okay.
is structured in the sim kind of cut it off, yeah.
Gotcha. Then we move back. We have Nahel Moran in 31st, starting next to Danish Hassan in 32nd. Then Ignacio Inza in 33rd, next to Felipe Brinta in 34th. Excuse me. Then we're moving back to Kaike Piropo in 35th, next to Blas Diaz in 36th. Kind of out of position there. We got a few guys out of position here. Adam Brockway starts in 37th, next to Miguel Colon in 38th in the 87. Then moving back, Emiliano Almiron starts next to William Kaler. And back to 41st, Zach Doyce starts 41st next to Alex Esser in 42nd. Then Jose Correa, 43rd, next to Ricardo Delgado. Moving back, we have Joshua Ramirez, sorry if I butchered that name, in 45th, next to the 00 of Miguel Alcrudo. Then Avery Hart lines up next to Mike Braun in 48th. And then for the last two, to fill out the grid, we have Pedro Berger lining up next to Scott Kimbrough.
And we do end up having some extra time on the grid. This will get fine-tuned, so Scott Reister, when we go back and look at this is 8:15 that we're done on the grid. Call it 8:16 maybe, a little closer. Hopefully that gives us a little something to go off of. I can't see the grid timer. You can tell me how much time is left here, Chris, but we're trying to find the right amount of time on the grid, because we've not done standing starts in, well, 3 years. So, especially with 50 cars in the grid, we're trying to make sure we have ample time to go through it and talk about all of these drivers, make sure we introduce them all to you, and don't faff about missing drivers on the grid. We simply don't want to do that.
25 seconds.
There we go.
20, yep. So pretty close. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, we don't see a lot of these standing starts, but we got 15 seconds. I'm really curious to see how that back portion of the grid is going to start having to go around the corner. That's going to make things a bit awkward, but all eyes up front as we get our countdown from 5 here.
Wait for the green lights. Fabrizio Belziti and Gabby Montoro, your front row, waiting on the red lights, then green, then 20 minutes of racing at Hockenheimring. Porsche Cup Season 4 in the North American Racing League is green from Hockenheim. And already the whole shot going to Fabrizio Belziti into turn 1. Montoro follows in second, and it's going to be a mad dash down to turn number 2.
Looks like the top 3 kind of got away pretty clean, but we're going to see a move here up the inside by Felipe. He kind of runs wide. Nice switchback there from Gabi Montoro. He's trying to track down the leader.
Around
you don't
goes
want him to get too
Rico.
far
He's
away.
in trouble. We're crashing big in turns 2 and 3. We'll recap what we can in a few moments, but for now, down the, not straightaway, curve away, if you will, to turn 6.
Yeah, that was one thing we were worried about. Any little bit of chaos is going to get compounded by the sheer number of drivers as they go through the hairpin here. Still very close with these top 4, 5. Then we have a good battle behind for P5, it looks like, with Rodrigo Mies. Oh, man, I'm butchering that one. And Ross O'Connor from Impulse. Good battle there going on behind the leaders as they're kind of in single file. Like he's just going to give that position
O'Connor,
up.
yeah, through the right-hander there as we work towards the back end of lap number 1. Belziti still in control. Montoro second, followed by Filippa and Pascucci, your top 4. Matteo 5th. I thought it was Matteo there at turn 2 that got knocked out, but it looks like it was his teammate potentially, Ricardo Rico. I believe they're teammates. The livery at least looked very similar, and of course teams have been changing hands as of late. Let's go ahead and hit our speed shot on the front stretch here off of the final corner and just watch the field come on by, because we have got a lot to talk about this entire race. Here's a look at where everybody is at with the gap to the leader, the overall leader. and just let everybody roll by. I promise we will go back and look at what happened more or less in a moment, but for now, this will look at the entire field going by the flag stand. One is in the pit lane. I'm trying to see who that is, actually. It seems like it's now Omaron, actually, in the number 28. So he is down to the pits, and you can see why that might be, as he's got damage also. It's Victor Lobato in the number 7 in trouble down in turn 2, so it just keeps getting worse for some of these guys. And there you see Ricardo Rico as well. This is back in 36th position, by the way.
Yeah, really tough fighting all the way back through the field. And I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about. We knew that was going to happen. As close as everybody is. Oh, nice little nudge there. Got to be careful. That can be a car around, but nice dive in.
And there it is.
Oh, and he dumps him. Yep. Overdid it. That's what we were talking about with those brakes.
That's
it's so hard to judge into that hairpin.
Josue Ramirez and Ricardo Rico down at turn 6. All right, let's go back. We've already got a lot to look at. Let's try and get back to the start of this race. We'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I know it's not what we want to be doing necessarily, but let's take a look. This is the initial start. Fabrizio Belziti at turn 1 got the whole shot, got down and away. It's turn 2 where everything goes awry, and I believe Ricardo Rico was actually one of the first around at that corner. Here's a look at it. There's the Spaniard. And I think he's going to get hit from behind, some 3 wide dives, and Scott Reister will be sure to be penalizing that's for sure.
Yeah, that was not a good rejoin either. I mean, I get the frustration. It's a pretty big dive in there. But again, everybody's just kind of feeling out the brakes. It's the first race of the season. We haven't done this car. A lot of these guys might not be, this might not be their primary ride. Let's see what we got here.
I want to slow this down into turn 2 again. I'm not sure who that was, and I want to get a look at who it may have been. I think that was Resende. And he's a veteran of NARL. That really surprises me to see he go up 3 wide. I mean, just straight into the 25. I believe that's Saavedra, and then Ricardo Rico gets the short end of that. And yeah, he kind of got back going. I'm not really sure how else that could have gone, but you see all of the other drivers caught up in that melee in turn 2, 3, and 4. That was a messy one for sure at the start.
Yeah, you really got to keep that locked down, which, I mean, maybe there was an element of a little bit of panic with that many cars coming through. I don't know if he's just trying to get out of the way, but best thing you can do there is just hold the brakes. Yep, really late dive. Could have been just, I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt. A lot of times, turn 1, you might get surprised a little bit, especially, like we said, with these brakes. So you just kind of dive to the inside, just trying not to wreck somebody. But then, I mean, it's so late. The guy on the outside 3 wide, he doesn't know that you're there. So you can see he turns in like normal.
Let's at least look back at some of what happened there on lap 1. We don't want to lose sight of the leaders too quickly here. It's already 5 minutes in. But back to business at the front of the field. We are 3 laps in. I just checked that. We're on lap 4 of an expected 13 here in our sprint race. And again, Chris, we're doubling this length when we go feature racing here in a little while. So this sprint race, it pays the same points as the feature, but when it comes to actually winning this evening, you've got to be good in both. You've got to be good on new tires, cold tires, and maintain some tires over the course of the race. And I'm curious, do we think we see some tire changes in this car this season?
Now, that's one thing I have no idea about, so I'm excited to kind of learn that as we go. I'm not sure what the stop time is. I'd imagine it would be comparable to the GT3s as far as changing tires and everything like that. And typically, in the GT3s, it depends on the amount of fuel you're taking, but a lot of time, with a 40-minute race, you don't need to. But I'm not sure how these cars perform after 40 minutes. But I mean, we got a lot of really skilled drivers here who I'm sure if they need to, they're pretty good at getting the most out of everything, including the tires.
I can tell you they're already getting a whole lot more than I would be. I did try taking some laps in this car at a handful of the circuits we'll be visiting this season, and I can get around the circuit, just not very quickly. I actually, to build cameras for this racetrack again, I actually opted for the IndyCar, because frankly I just could not be bothered to learn the technique of this Porsche Cup car. It is demanding for sure. It certainly requires a lot out of the driver to get absolutely right. The spread so far about a minute and I'm looking, no, not a minute, about 30, well, almost a minute between our race leader and Adam Brockway. He is the lone wolf back here in 46th position, the final car running on the lead lap. Ricardo Delgado takes the final car running as he's allowing everybody to go by here to turn 2. Unfortunately, Ricardo already very much behind the mark. 47th overall, 17th in class.
Yeah, it looks like that incident in the beginning kind of shook things up quite a bit, as you would expect. So we're going to have some guys out of position, which means we're going to get to see some moves. But like we said, if you get out of position, it's not like, you know, in some series you'll race and, you know, you have a spin and you drop back 10, 15, maybe even 20 places. But the guys back there, you got them really easily on pace. You're like a second or two a lap faster. Here, you drop back 20 positions, you might still only be about 3 or 4 tenths faster than those guys. So it's hard. It's going to be a real challenge to dig your way out of that hole. You got 2 races to do it, so you don't want to be too aggressive. But it is a bit of a ticking clock because you don't have the pit stop here in this first race to kind of help you undercut people. So you just got to get it all done on track.
Watching a driver here, this is Miguel Alcrudo. And, oh, I see... I'll get the screen share fixed for you there, Chris. I see the difference now. Regardless, watching Alcrudo, he has changed numbers this season. He's also, I believe, jumped up. He's now in Pro-Am, and this is a driver we were talking a lot about at the back end of last season. I think we'll be talking about him a lot as the season goes on here in the Porsche Cup cars. Also, Felipe Brenta seems to be a teammate to Noel Moreau, and I recognize the livery, but it's a different driver now in that car, so we'll be able to watch him potentially go to battle some of these guys, including Scott Reister, who's currently in 29th spot. And I know Scott, loves the GT3 cars and Porsche Cup cars. I don't know what his expectations were. I think this is already a pretty solid start considering the lap 1 melee and how badly it could have gone. For him to be 29th, already ahead of about 20 entries or so, that's a good start to the season for him. I want to get back up to pro class though. Ralph Benitez putting in some work here on one of the Impulse drivers, Ross O'Connor. It's my understanding, Chris, that for about 6 months or so now, you've been training with one of the Impulse coaches.
Well, former Impulse. He doesn't drive for Impulse anymore. He's since signed with... I mean, I hope I'm at liberty to say. I'm pretty sure it's all finalized and everything. He's gotten the merch, but he's with the BS competition now. So he's moved over there. But yeah, I've been getting some training from Yannick. I remember he came into the GT3 series, and if not for some internet issues, was kind of dominating.
Yeah, one of the strongest drivers we've seen there in a long time.
Yeah, I reached out just in the Discord, and I recommend this to every AM driver. Go in the Discord and just say, hey, is there any pro or pro-am driver who would be willing to coach me? And you can usually find a little bit of a deal, so it's not going to break your bank, and it's going to help you a lot. I've gotten so much faster, so I can never thank Yannick enough. He's still helping. He's actually going to coach me a little bit in the Indy cars, which is going to be fun. I've never seen him in one of those, so we'll see. Exciting, but yeah, here we go. We got a nice move going on. Ooh, nice heads up there to not turn too far in. Little door banging, a little aggression. That's tough but fair. I think we like to see that. Yep, here we go. Let's see if they can hang it onto it around. Yeah, the high speed stuff. Oh, this is good. Gonna slow it right down. He's gonna get the inside. Is he gonna close it? That's a nice switch back, but this is gonna bring it's gonna bring his teammate in.
And one of the drivers in this battle, Dino Filippo, the leading of these 2 pink Porsches in this battle, he's also a coach. And we've also got Moradness on this season, as always. That is full of coaches. There are tons of coaches to help you get up to speed. So I say this because I know we're going to have some AM drivers watching for next week. Obviously, we would point you to Moradness first, then Dino Filippo next. But certainly, there's always tons of options to get some coaching. So if you're not feeling up to speed in this car just yet, there's still time. Utilize your resources. Moradness is a great one of them. I know Giuliano Romagnolo has a ton of Porsche Cup experience. I certainly I can't speak to his availability, but as long as he's still over at Muradness, I'd assume he is. That community is fantastic, and Daniel Morad and his whole team will get you up to speed as quickly as they can and as efficiently as they can, but also will not cut corners. They will take time. They will make sure you understand the race car, and I'm sure Felipe and Yannick and all of these great coaches will do exactly that. And you can also maybe just talk to a pro driver, as you said, alluded to at the very least, about maybe some more unofficial coaching possibly, as here's a battle between Stofko and, I believe, Olsen, Nathan Olsen. That's actually one of the M Squad cars, so great segue me. Nathan Olsen in the number 32 out of the United States. He is currently 20th in class, but racing with third place Pro-Am Jacob Stofko. This could be fun down to the hairpin.
Looks like Stofko just had a really good pace advantage, but he goes in too deep. Good heads up there to avoid it, and that just lets an Empire car right in. There's William Kaler coming in, just gets the inside there. See if he can hang it around. A little tap. That's gonna run it. Yep, it's gonna run him wide. Can he hang on to it? No. Just tuck in behind. Nice switch back. Stofko kind of falls back a little bit, but there we go. And Kaler gets the move done. That was very nice. Very opportunistic. He saw them battling and kind of stuck his nose in, said, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
That's going to put Nathan Olsen now in the hands of Blas Diaz. I'm noticing a lot of these guys going off track. There's a couple more as there goes Miguel Colon up the inside. How about that, using his brand new M Squad livery? No!
Oh, no!
Miguel! Hard in the barrier. Blas Diaz, it was his hands. Oh my gosh, Miguel Colon, what a hit there out of turn 13 and 14. I don't think that car is going to be rolling much further, Miguel. No, that left rear is absolutely shoved up the engine bay of that Porsche.
Oh, and that was such a good overtake from a Pro-Am driver on a Pro, and I mean, we'd have to look at it again. It's a bit hard to tell at full speed, obviously, when you're watching it live, but man, I mean, I was just getting ready to sing his praises because it was an excellent move. He stuck it in there, and the Pro, good, obviously a good job, heads up, not turning in on him too, but then they get it straightened up, and you think that's where you're okay, but
setting up the inside perfectly of Blas Diaz. I wonder, did he move over or did Blas kind of crowd him? It's hard to say, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially when they're turning to the left. That might just be heads up on both drivers and racing incident kind of thing.
Yeah, because you're that car on the left, you're really trying to set that up there to give yourself a little bit more space for that nice turn left there, but
yeah. Watching it back, that's a little more of Miguel than I initially thought, but I just hate that for both of those guys. A couple of drivers we've watched a lot of lately, and man, they could easily battle it out for this championship, but that's not a great start for either one of their seasons. Blas continues on, but let's see, I'm looking for him. He's in Pro Division now. He is 30th overall, 22nd in class, and that's certainly no way to get this season started. Towards the front, inside of 5 minutes to go, however, Fabrizio Belziti, he's got a couple of teammates not far behind, but leading the way here at Hockenheimring. Gabby Montoro in second. We've got to relearn all these names all over again. Who's going to be best? Who's going to be, the championship favorite out of round one? I can tell you this top five, already looking full of them.
Yeah, the Fabrizio is looking pretty good. I mean, I'm not sure. It looks like maybe Montoro's just kind of trying to keep him honest. He's fallen back a little bit, but you also know that with the invert you're gonna get him on the invert. So maybe you're just trying to maximize points here. Kind of goes in a little deep, misses the apex there. But he's at least keeping him honest. If he's close enough that if you're Belziti, you can't slack here. He's gonna be on you. And Dino is far enough back that it's still kind of the same situation, but he's not pressuring Montoro at all, so you're not really getting any help right now from the teammate behind unless he gets closer. And Dino Felipe right now also is a little bit being pressured a little bit by Mateo himself, so
Riding on board with Gabby Montoro.
Gotta love
looking
how
over-
much that kicks up when they
Yeah.
go over that curb there.
I will say, I do really enjoy that at Porsche Cup Racing. These guys absolutely annihilate these curbs a lot more liberally than in the true GT3 cars. I wonder if they just have more ride height. I've never really thought about that, actually. Enabling them to do that without damaging the car at all, but yeah, it seems like they really like to use the curbing in these cars, but no change here at the front. They're starting to spread out a little bit. The battle for 8th, you talk about the invert. The battle for 8th currently is where that invert will happen. Ralph Benitez holds that spot down for the moment, and he's got a bit of a gap back to Manuel Troncoso. That is about 1 second, actually, as they round turn 6. Manuel there on the number 62 would love to run him down. That would promote him to pole position for the feature race. We'll see if he can get there. At the moment, it's not looking all that optimistic for the 62 car, however, because, well, Ralph has the draft from Ross O'Connor ahead.
And I'm looking at the back of Manuel's car right now. It looks like his rear bumper is a little bit dented in, so I think he might be carrying some damage around, might be affecting how the car's driving. So best you can hope for now is maybe these two guys in front of you get a little spicy and one of them comes off worse. You just, keep yourself in position so that if someone makes a mistake, you can capitalize on it. If you're carrying damage, it's just don't go back any further. Just kind of maintain and be ready if the time comes.
Meanwhile, here is our Pro-Am leader. Haven't looked at the Pro-Ams too much in this race yet. Gabriel Felipe leading the way out of Brazil currently in that number 100. And he does not have much competition at all. It is, I'm trying to do the math here, about 7 seconds it looks like, 6 to 7 seconds back to Fabio Zamperlini. Really no worry at all right now for the 100 car. He's got 4 pros behind him, Juan Segundo Valero, Luke Wallace, Pedro de Oliveira, and Danish Hassan. So plenty of room for this 100 car right now as he leads the way into the final minute or so of racing. I do expect these guys to get back to the start-finish line and take one more lap around this race course, but certainly a good start for Felipe there, and he will, I guess, provisionally start 16th for the feature as well, with those 4 cars back to Zamperlini, second currently in the Pro-Am category. There you see Zamperlini in his signature gold livery. Meanwhile, into the final few corners here of lap 12, we should get one more trip around Hockenheimring, but it is going to be relatively close for these guys, and whether or not Belziti gets back to the line.
I mean, after 20 minutes, you'd, you wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more of a gap, but these front 2 are just hanging in there.
And here we go. This will be the white flag signal for Fabrizio then across the line. The flag stand, there is the white flag from Barney the flagman. So with about 6 seconds to spare, we get one more lap of racing, and that makes you wonder, if Fabrizio had just been a little bit, a half second slower every lap, could he have wrapped this race up 1 lap sooner? It's not too much matter to these guys, but worth thinking about, I suppose, in a retrospective sense, as he's powering away, potentially, with this first win of the season. Meanwhile, a great little line here. Look at these guys. You've got Alex Esser, you've got Felipe Brenta, Scott Reister, Miguel Alcrudo, even Blas Diaz in this line. This is busy, for sure, on the final lap.
Yeah, they're starting to get a little antsy. You're going to start seeing some moves here.
Scott Reister on the offense.
There you go. Not one to shy away from it. That's very good to see. Blas Diaz is probably feeling a little frustrated, stuck at the end of this line here.
That's the way it goes.
He wants to make up some points.
Scott Reister now under fire from Miguel Alcrudo, and Alcrudo takes her on the outside into the braking zone there for turn 6. Meanwhile, final couple of corners now for Fabrizio Belziti. We'll take this in from the fan cam, the final few apexes for these drivers in pro sprint race action here at Hockenheimring. This is the track where it all started the very first Porsche Cup race in the North American Racing League back, I believe, in 2021. Here we are 5 years later, and Belziti will take the checkered flag in our sprint race here at Hockenheimring. A whole lot of drivers racing quickly to the checkered flag. Reister slow on the final lap. He's in trouble. He has been knocked off course, it looks like, just briefly. He's back on in 33rd. Make that 34th. Make that maybe 35th. As we get down to the final sets of corners. Drag race to the line there. Godai gets it over Wirt as Gabriel Felipe will win in Pro-Am. And this little race comes back around to the stripe. One to the pit lane. That's Blas Diaz, I think. Or was that a lapped car?
That's Blas Diaz going into the pits. I'm not sure. I don't see a black flag or anything from him.
Could have just been incidents.
Yeah, it might have been. But again, I think we've discussed this before. You kind of just want to power through it because it doesn't serve it anyway, I don't think.
Yeah, it does not. You only get to run down about half the pit lane doing it there on the final lap, but yeah, you're really going to lose no matter what. The final few cars will come across. In fact, Adam Brockway will be the final of the field to take the checkered flag. 3 cars will not make the checkered. Those are Miguel Colon, Zach Deus, and Bruno Enrique. And both Miguel and Zach in the YouTube chat already, as Bruno Enrique will take the final position there in our sprint race. Then we can get ready for, of course, race number 2 on the evening, the feature race coming up after this 5-minute warm-up session. Boy, Chris, a chance to catch our breaths. I know that was an electric beginning to the season. It's going to continue on that way. Again, looking at the schedule from here, we have 1 week, well, I guess not really 1 week off, 2 weeks off for Pro. We race AM next week here, right back here at Hockenheimring. We do have 1 week off as a league, and then come back racing at Sebring with Pros. 1 week off as a league again, then back racing for Pros at Le Mans on July 30th. From there, here we go. You see, it'll be round 2 for the amateurs. They run Sebring on August the 6th, then have another month or so off until Le Mans, and then their schedule gets busy. So it's a little bit all over the way we had to fit the schedules in. But for now, focusing on the pro side, you see it's pretty consistent here in the summer, and then a little more spaced out in the fall, while AM was a little more spaced out in the summer and a little more busy in the fall. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works. I'm very intrigued by it. I don't think it's a bad thing, because we get to see kind of how certain series, I guess certain groups of drivers do at different tracks. I'm intrigued to see how, and we even, I think we finish up right before what would be Election Day, more or less, here in the United States. So right there at the beginning of November, we're not going too deep. We'll be over by Thanksgiving, you know. Certainly a lot of attention, I think, on this series, and it's all going to happen very quick, I can say that.
Going to be exciting. I think it's good also to, you know, that the AMs kind of have a little bit of a delay, so that way they get a little bit more time to practice in the car. It's probably good. Hopefully, a lot of them, I'm sure a lot of them are watching. So it's good to take advantage of all the time you get. With road course racing, I'm always saying, you know, you get out what you put in. The more work you put in, you'll just get faster. That is the name of the game. If you sweat, you're going to get a little bit extra time than the guys who don't. Obviously, talent goes into it, but if you have a driver who is talented but isn't ever practicing, and you have someone who is trying every day to get faster, you'll be surprised at how much of that gap you can close.
Just looking again at the car specifications, I do want to take a look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit Stop TV before we go racing into our feature this evening. Here's a look at it tomorrow night, at least currently scheduled. I know this was postponed by 2 weeks already, but the Steering Wheel Nation Truck Series event at Nashville Super Speedway tomorrow night, followed by the All-American Racing Network back to action here on Pit Stop TV. They've been racing through May and June, just not on the channel. They've actually been over at Pirate Broadcasting for a handful of races. We're splitting the duties this season, but this is kind of the beginning of being a lot more active and continuous with that series on Sunday mornings. It sounds like, Chris, I may have roped myself into racing a couple of races, the final couple that we have that are not on Pit Stop TV, Iowa and Michigan, but you get to unleash your road course prowess in a stock car this Sunday. Are you excited?
I'm really excited. I've done one race in the Cup car at Sonoma with another league too, so I kind of got warmed up a little bit for it. It's actually going to be pretty busy because I'm actually doing all 3 of those races. So that'll be. I am in full race mode. I'm fully immersed. I'm trying to do everything. Sonoma's a blast. It's. I was watching the SVG's racing school today on Sonoma. He's like, it's a really grippy track. I'm like, well, it's not on iRacing. I'll tell you that much. I don't know where he's finding grip, but it feels like you can only put your foot to the floor about 10-15% of the lap. The rest of it, you're just kind of trying to baby it around, trying to save your tires. And then obviously Gilles Villeneuve, that's going to be another good one in the retro cars. So,
and see, everything you're saying about the Cup cars at these road courses is exactly how I feel about these Porsche Cup cars. I just can't get them down. It doesn't matter what I do, what I try, Porsche Cup I can't do. GT3 in general, that's all right, depending on the car. For some reason, I've never been able to drive a Porsche on iRacing. It's just never worked with me. Something about it. But Zach Diss, from not having a good opening race at all, he's right back on the racetrack, putting in the laps there with M Squad, making sure he is up to snuff here for the feature of 40 minutes of racing. You can follow us all over social media. There you see the links at the bottom of your screen, including our Discord server. Don't be a stranger. Come on in. Chat with us. Join the fantasy games. The picks for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, actually, about to go out this evening. So keep an eye out for those. And we've also got some Legend car racing on the way, plus a whole lot more in the Pit Stop TV space. As here we go into our feature event for the evening. We're going to take a brief look at weather, as I like to do, once the session kind of resets here. But then it's right into the grid. Wait on it to check up. Of course, it went higher earlier after a few seconds. And I think it's going to stay at 107. There you go. So let's get to it. The grid of 50 drivers. We'll take a look again at some of these pictures on screen. The driver photos. Thanks for setting those in, drivers. Applications, I guess, for info is still open. You can still submit them in the North American Racing League Discord server. There is an announcement channel, Pit Stop TV announcement channel, where you can find the link to the form to do so. Anyways, Ralph Benitez went 8th in the sprint. He will start this race from pole alongside Ross O'Connor, followed by Rodrigo Mies and Roman Pascucci in the top 4. Nicholas Matteo, Dino Filippa, they're in 5th and 6th. And the drivers who finished 1st and 2nd in the sprint, they'll start 7th and 8th. Gabi Montaro and Fabrizio Belziti, followed by Manuel Troncoso and David Toth. A little farther back, Marco Saavedra and Jackson Rosende, followed by Juan Blena and Paolo Godai. All of these pro drivers until you get here. It's Leandro Whirl from Pro, but Gabriel Felipe from Pro-Am, he'll start 16th in our feature race this evening, a little ways ahead of Fabio Zamperlini. In between them, you'll find Juan Segundo Valero and Luke Wallace, as well as Pedro de Oliveira S. and Danish Hassan. Then you find Fabio Zamperlini in 21st, Jacob Stofko in 22nd. Those are 2nd and 3rd in Pro-Am on the grid, followed by William Kaler and Victor Veloso. And finally, to complete the front half, Alex Esser out of Pro-Am in the 292 in 25th, and Kaikai Piropo in 26th.
All right, for our second half of the grid, we have Miguel Alcrudo lining up 27th alongside Victor Lobato in 28th. And moving back further, we have Adam Mazaros in 29th, lining next to Pedro Berger in the 67. Scott Reister, our fearless leader once again, lining up 31st next to Jose Correa, one of our regulars. Felipe Brenta lines up 33rd next to Brian Scaglieri in 34th. Ricardo Rico, 35th next to the 36th, the 28 of Nahuel Moron. Scott Kimbrough, another regular, in 37th next to Jose Ramirez. Emiliano Almiron lines up next to Avery Hart in the 13. And we have the 108 of Mike Braun lines up next to Ignacio Inza. And then we have Nathan Olson in 43rd, lined up next to Adam Brockway in 44th, followed by Blas Diaz in 45th, and Ricardo Delgado in 46th, Miguel Colon in 47th, Leandro Lazindorf in 48th, and then finally we have Bruno Henrique lining up next to Zach Deuss to round us out.
That'll be your 50-car grid. I think a couple of these guys towards the back end that did not have a good start tonight might be calling it an evening already, unfortunately. We don't like that, but it's part of it, as Ralph Benitez is on the grid, still waiting on a handful of these guys. They're waiting until the last second so they don't burn too much fuel on the grid. I get it. You can also just turn the car off. Anyways, Ralph Benitez, Gabby Montoro, David Toth, those are your first three of the top 10. They're gridded up now. Fabrizio gets in the car. Here's Manuel Troncoso. More are filing in. That, of course, means we're getting closer. Chris, how's the timer look?
25 seconds, and then we'll get our countdown to start. So we're getting close.
I'll have to see if we can find a way to pull that data to get the actual countdown, because I don't know of a way to pull it yet. I'll have to dive into ATVO and see what we can do. But here we go. Yeah. Getting ready for the grid. Ralph Benitez, Ross O'Connor, Rodrigo Miza. How about Roman Pascucci, 4th place? Nicholas Matteo, 5th. Dino Filippa, Gabby Montoro, Fabrizio Belziti. The lights are red. Wait on the green. No false starts earlier. None here, it looks like. Everybody waiting on the green lights. Down and away, Hockenheim ring, the feature race is green.
Like Ross O'Connor got a pretty good jump, but not enough to get alongside, but he is going to have
one out wide, that's Montoro.
Nice
Montoro out way wide at turn 1. He keeps on rolling, gets back in the field. Here comes turn 2, looks clean so far. There's a big move to the inside. That's not going to go. Troncoso got shoved off, I think, by David Toth, and they're wadding it up at turn 2. I saw one car go skidding on through the picture.
Goes, we have a few more around. The leaders did a pretty good job of going through there, but it looks like Toth just kind of got a little too ambitious, or maybe got surprised a little bit. Leaders going down to the hairpin now. Looks like they went in real deep. We got a switchback by the impulse driver of Ross O'Connor. Looks like he's going to take over the lead for us if he can hang it around here with Ralph Benitez. Ralph's going to have a chance to send it up the inside. He stays alongside him and gets a good run. Is he going to go in too deep? Don't turn it in too early. No switchback here this time, but we do get one from Rodrigo Mies, but then he backs out, thinks better of it. You don't want to get caught by Pascucci behind. So great battle for these 4 drivers trying to fight for that lead.
Fantastic fight here on the opening lap of the feature race at Hockenheim. Look at this. Side by side, even into this banked curve. And these guys are really on it this evening. The flying shot right behind the field from the drone. Wrapping up lap 1. There's a spin. Pascucci goes sliding off the nose of Matteo, and he will come to a stop on the outside of the corner, but out of the final corner. And to the start-finish line, lap 1 complete for the feature. Oh boy, there's drama again.
It looked like a carbon copy of what we saw in the sprint race, honestly. Just kind of running out of room quicker than they thought they would.
One car into the pits, that is Juan Blainat. Hate to see that for the Argentinian, but he'll come in, it looks like get a faster pair and head back out. As we have 3 cars that did not make it back around. Those are Ricardo Rico in the 1, Kaike Piropi in the 181, and finally Pedro Berger in the 67. Let's continue on with live picture, as our leaders are already down into turn number 6. Single file line all up here at the top 10. We know we'll have a pit stop here. What we don't know is exactly if these drivers will opt to take tires. We saw some surprising moves in the last GT3 season we did just about a month ago, and we saw some tires taken at times you wouldn't expect it. These cars, I think, churn through those tires a little more quickly. We might see some drivers take them here. We'll see as they get to learn these cars. Contact back here, the 70 of Oliveira and the 22 of Montoro trying to gain everything he lost at the start. Montoro's back in 13th as he makes sure to stand his ground there.
That's another section of the track. We've seen a lot of wheel banging here. This is really tricky. He tracks out pretty wide, but luckily you can use all that apron. Then you're going to have the inside around here. Gives him a little bump back onto the gravelly part of the track, which is going to get him swallowed up by Luke Wallace as well. But is he going to stick his nose in? That's pretty risky, but they held it together. Only slight contact, and we'll see who gets a better drive out of the corner. It's going to be Luke Wallace, so he's going to take that position away from Oliveira. So great battling back here through the field.
They continue on through turn 1. Some fantastic shots around these corners. A battle up here as well. Leandro Whirl working on Fabrizio Belziti, or rather Paulo Godai. As you see the side-by-side there, Montoro, Wallace, Troncoso, Oliveira, Pascucci, that's the whole line of them as they work through turn 4. Another side-by-side back here, Gabriel Felipe and William Kaler. This is second and third in Pro-Am. You see Jacob Stofko, he has actually taken the lead in Pro-Am. Where did the 100 go? How have I missed him? Oh, it's Felipe, we're on board with him. What am I doing, Andrew?
Yep. Yeah, he sends it in a little bit too deep, and so he's going to have to give that position up, and that leaves him pretty vulnerable to Valero behind. But again, we see here, if you're on the outside, it's not the worst position, because you can get a little bit of an advantage here.
Oh, yeah, contact there at turn in. That was a little hectic, and I noticed one driver, former driver of the series, out in YouTube chat. Dalton, it's good to see you out there. Mr. Zavadil himself, I mentioned earlier, I was watching back some clips from Season 3, particularly at Sebring. Zavadil was in that championship battle in Pro Class, so he was in that battle actually with Ricardo Rico. So Dalton, it's good to see you out in the YouTube chat this evening. Hopefully we get you back in some of these races very, very soon as we continue watching the midfield here on lap number 3 of an expected 25 in our feature race. Ross O'Connor fastest. Let's jump up to him as he runs second place. He's got a mirror full of Rodrigo Mies and a windshield full of Ralph Benitez.
Yeah, he's kind of going to be sandwiched here. That's a tough place to be because you start really feeling that pressure, but it's not all sunshine and roses for Rodrigo in the 88 either. But we're going to have a long run down here. It's good tow. 88's going to get a chance here to see if we can see a move on the inside. He's going to poke his nose out. Here he's going for it on the brakes. Can he make the corner? Oh, too deep, too deep. Oh,
man. Big contact there at the apex. That brings Mateo into it. And Rodrigo Mies just sent his car on in there. Big door contact to the 714, even some bumper contact there to our leader Benitez. And you see Mies gives it back, but that opens up the door to Mateo into the corner. Contact!
This is some really, really tight, hard racing. Just slight bumps, nothing too crazy. That outbraking yourself was a little much. Ooh.
That was hectic there in that little short shoot, if you will, and here we go. They kind of banked corners again. David Toth got on through. That's that white Porsche on the outside lane. On the inside, it's Nicholas Mateo. They battle for fifth. Off the corner, Saavedra lifts. Felipe got on through this battle, by the way. He's now fourth and chasing down Mies. Contact! Toth got into Mateo again. No harm, no foul. It does seem like these guys can give some contact without wrecking each other, so props there. On board now, Jackson Rosende as he chases down Marcus Saavedra. The top end of this field is super, super physical. This looks a bit more like stock car racing.
I was about to say, kind of the oval leagues that you got me running in now, I don't think we bump this much. I think people would get pretty heated, but these guys are really holding it together. This is really cool to watch.
Problems. Troncoso turned around and he has towed it back to the pit lane. A lot of damage on that race car. Let's see if we can get a look back quickly at what happened to the number 62. We saw him a little while ago, and I'd like to at least cap off the day with his story. He already has some right front damage, but Manuel out of the Dominican Republic has now sunk all the way to 46th already overall, call it 28th in Pro Class. Let's see what happened here. He was ahead of Pascucci, and Roman Pascucci is currently 14th, so that tells you Manuel is likely 13th. And he's just going to pull off here and call it a day, it seems.
Yeah, maybe carrying too much damage. I don't know if he knew he had a fast repair, or if maybe he'd already used it, or I think he'd be further back if he had already pulled in and used it, so.
Gabby Montaro on board here. By the way, your sprint race winner, this is kind of rare that we're actually saying this. We have a lot more pros in the field this season at the Porsche Cup versus the GT3 season last time around, but your heat race winner, Fabrizio Belziti, has actually lost a spot. And we did not say that very often last season in the GT3 cars, but this expanded field, 50 cars here, and a whole lot more pros this season has really changed the competition there at the top. So Fabrizio Belziti already down a spot since the invert. A little bit of contact maybe there with Leandro Whirl and the 22 of Montaro, also the 027 of Wallace. And then your sprint race winner down in Pro-Am is back here. Gabriel Felipe has also lost some spots, has lost the Pro-Am lead, is now down in 19th. I thought that cushion at the start, Chris, might have been enough for Gabriel to hang on to the lead. That clearly was not the case.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he got into some trouble somewhere, maybe some contact or something. He was having a really good race in the sprint race, obviously. Had that big cushion, like you said. Though we did have that big incident right at the start, which may have helped build that cushion, so it might have been a little artificial. Difficult to say, but it looks like he's struggling a little bit. We'll see if he can maybe pick the pace up. You never know with cycling pit stops. Maybe he can get himself back up there and challenge for the lead again.
Watching the field work through. This is turn number 10 down to 11. Love these static shots around the racetrack. Get an idea of just how fast they do get going. And you can see there's still field cycling out of turn 6 way back there in the background. So as you would come back out of the forest section into what is now the hairpin, you can see they are still filing out of that corner. Now they're about done as they work through that kind of stadium area. And then around to turn 1, wait for it, here comes Benitez around the final corner, and here we go. We just get right back into another lap. 30 minutes to go. We are 6 laps deep into an expected 25. And I'm curious how much different the fuel window might be here in the Porsche Cup versus GT3. I know it's gotten pretty wide open in GT3 in recent seasons. We used to expect pit stops by halfway. Now it's closer to 3/4 distance. I'm curious when these guys end up needing to pit. I don't want to bet on anything just yet. We'll just sit back and watch as Montaro loses a spot there to, or rather gets a spot back from Paolo Gaddai.
Gaddai's going to have a chance to take that back from him down here at the hairpin. We've seen overtakes, a lot of sins down here. Looks he's not going to fully commit to the defense, and Gaddai's not going to go for it. Looks like he's just going to stay tucked in behind for now. Probably wise. You don't want to mess around too much when you got Leandro Whirl right behind you, waiting to capitalize. That's another thing we've seen a lot of. You know, guys this close, you're battling, and then all of a sudden, surprise, player 3 has entered the game, and is he going to take both of those spots from you? So, wise move.
I always hated that as a kid growing up. Player 3 suddenly joining. You're not expecting it. And one of your friends grabs the controller and says, "Hi, I'm in here now." Regardless, watching a battle here, 4th, 5th, and 6th in Pro-Am. This is Alex Esser that we're watching in the 292. He's behind Miguel Alcrudo in that blue and bright green machine, as well as ahead of Fabio Zamperlini in the number 327, who currently runs in 6th. By the way, Dalton Zavadil did give us some info that these guys should not be taking tires tonight, and probably for the rest of the season, which is kind of surprising, because I know these cars can go for a while, but they also churn those tires up a little more. No! Fabio! Final couple of corners near the drag strip, and he goes for a slide. Doesn't go fully around. He'll get back going, but down now to the 35th position behind Blas Diaz.
It was a good save. I'm not really sure what happened there. Somebody just went a little bit into the back of him, punted him around. Maybe he wasn't expecting the difference in speed. I think, again, Zamperlini's got a little bit of damage on that rear bumper. I was scrolling through the field, and I have to say, we've seen a lot of door banging, and we've seen a lot of bumping, and it shows a lot of these cars are carrying damage. I am seeing dents in at least half or more of the cars right now.
Might see some more here, down into the braking zone, kind of in this little stadium section. I believe that's turn 8. Mateo hangs on to this spot over Dino Filippo. This is for the 4th position. And this is a couple of the best drivers, not just from the GT3 field last season, but also here from this Porsche Cup field. If I look over at their I ratings, we're talking 10K each.
That's kind of hard to fathom, because, I mean, the amount of grind that you have to do to get up there when, you know, if you win the race, you get maybe 3, but if you get P3, you lose 10 or 20 or worse. So, huge respect. I mean, there's so many guys that have 9K, 10K. Absolutely stacked field of drivers here. like we're kind of having some people calm down now, kind of stretching out a little bit. As I go through the field, we kind of getting more single files. Everybody's finally 14 minutes into the race. It feels like we're finally getting settled in a little bit.
Yeah, we're finally able to breathe. Not just us, but the drivers on track as well. There are some battles, though, still going on. Here's one with Danish Hassan and Victor Lobato actually going by, and Fabio Zampolini is visiting the pit lane here a little bit early. And so here's an idea as to how long the pit stops might take. 11.13 seconds. Not very different from what we saw in the GT3 cars last season.
It's good. We'll start getting some of this information, and you know, coming in when you're as fast as Zamperlini is, that's a pretty good play. There's a lot of traffic. I think he was one of those that was carrying a bit of damage on his car, especially. I mean, that was a pretty hard bump on the rear before, so good to get that fixed. Get your pace back up. Get out there and try to undercut and make up some positions in the cycle of pit stops. So I think that's a really smart move.
Watch everybody file out of turn number 12, my favorite corner on this racetrack, I gotta say, and maybe that's because it's a banked left-hand turn, I don't know, but regardless, Luke Wallace, he's somebody I've been watching a lot, actually, in this race in particular, because as soon as I called out that his teammate Ross O'Connor had set a fastest lap, Luke actually went and beat it. So I'm going to be watching this 027 a little bit this season. He seems to really have himself figured out in this car. The problem he's facing right now is track position, Chris, and that's really difficult to overcome. If you don't absolutely nail it in qualifying, yeah, you're going to have a rough time in the race when you got 50 cars on track.
Exactly. It's qualifying becomes so crucial. It's crucial because of the relative pace of everybody, because everybody's so close, and it's crucial because of the sheer amount of cars. So, like we discussed earlier, you make one tiny, and it does not take much. I mean, when we're talking a mistake, it's, you know, just a fraction of a little bit too late or too early on the brakes. You know, you're off your line by maybe half a meter or something. That can be a tenth, and if you lose a tenth, that's, you know, anywhere between 5 and 10 positions depending on where you're at in the field. So just digging yourself a big hole, but hopefully, and that's again, if that's kind of where you want, if you find yourself in bad track position but with pace and you're struggling to overtake, that's where it's really good in races where we have you know, we have a larger window of times you can pit, so you can try to work that undercut.
Saw the near contact there in turn 12 between Pascucci and Wallace. Pascucci has been historically one of the more aggressive drivers in the field, so I would not be surprised to see him use the bumper just a little bit here and there. Pedro de Oliveira having some connection difficulties, dropping down the running order. Hopefully that settles itself down quickly as Gabby Montoro goes for a spot here on Fabrizio Belziti, and the sprint race winner is down to 10th. And if you've noticed on any of the league social media pages, we do kind of recaps of who finishes first, second, third in each class based on their average finish between the two races each night. And Fabrizio Belziti was in a great spot winning that sprint race, but this is proving just how much more parity there is now in this pro class. In the GT3s last season, there were only about 12 real competitive pros, it felt like. And so on any given day, if a couple of them missed the race or a couple of them had a bad start, you could get a lot of Pro-Ams in the top 10 very easily. Now a lot of those Pro-Ams are in this pro class, and we've added much more to this category. So as we near halfway, the top Pro-Am driver is down in 16th spot. That's Jacob Stofko in 16th overall. So this is a very different game from what we saw in the GT3s last season. We're going to have to do a whole lot of relearning North American Racing League here for a few weeks to get back used to this, but summer of 2026 into the fall going to be a lot of fun with this series as Ignacio Inza has trouble. He has towed it to the pit lane. That Pampa Racing car has, I think, called it an evening. 42nd place and might even drop a couple more. Juan Blanat, by the way, is actually working on Miguel Colon. This could be for 31st overall.
Let's see it again. There's another car that's got a little bit of damage, so you got to be careful, especially as you're the pro. If you're the car behind you, you got to make sure you're ready for if you're a pro racing against a pro-am, be ready for them to break somewhere where you're probably not going to, and things like that, because they are going to be a little bit slower, and there's a reason for that, and you will suddenly find out what that reason is somewhere on track, as we see him make a move to the inside, going down in the hairpin, holds it together really well. But again, we'll see if we get a fight back here, because that's a good exit out of the corner. And we'll see if he can make a move down to the hairpin, but it looks like he might be a little too far back. It would be pretty brave to send one from back here. Gets the wipers going a little bit, just in case,
No dice there for Miguel Colon. He'll stay here in the 32nd position overall, and this is going to be agonizing to some of these drivers like Miguel, who's gotten so used to finishing kind of in the teens or even top 10 in GT3 competition. Now to open up this Porsche Cup season, he's 32nd overall. That's just not got to be comfy to him at all, to have to realize this might be the spot where he finishes and still drove his best all night long. That can't be easy to just accept.
It's brutal. I mean, especially when you put in, I don't know obviously how much practice he's doing. I would imagine he's doing, I know he's one of the ones I've seen, several times in practice sessions when we host him in the GT3, so I know he does some work. And when you put in that work and you're like, oh man, my pace is good. I'm faster than I was the last time I was here. I'm 4/10 faster than I was the last time I raced here. And then you get on the track and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's times like that where you're like, you know what? You just start setting goals for yourself. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to get in the top 30. I'm going to get in the top half. I'm going to get, whatever it is to kind of keep yourself motivated. Always look for that silver lining to try to find some sort of win out of it to keep yourself motivated, because then that's the only way you're going to keep improving. So it's not bad to be slower than the guys around you. As we see a little bit of a move down here in the hairpin, not quite alongside. But then he gets there, hangs it around, and he's just going to let him go. Pretty wise.
Yeah, Leandro having some blinking. That's Leandro Whirl in that black and red 40 car. Didn't let Luke Wallace go, interestingly. Going to make Luke earn it here for what will be the 13th position overall. And we're expecting pit stops, I'd say any time in the next 5 minutes to at least begin. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. Again, I would assume the next 5 minutes or so. We did actually see Blas Diaz pit a couple of laps ago, and this pit stop looks legitimate, 10.4 seconds. Now that is very similar to what we saw from Fabio Zamperlini, who's directly behind Blas. So it was these two who had that contact, or I believe at least some racing a few laps ago, and now they are nose to tail on the racetrack out of turn number 6. Good to see Fabio sticking with it. He's been around for a long time. He's got a North American Racing League GT3 championship, and always good to see him in the field.
Absolutely. Good dude. Good dude. And yeah, it's a good idea to not fight too much here. Don't want to waste time squabbling with each other. Main thing is to maximize your undercuts, and both of you want to try to make up positions. Then once everybody cycles through, then we might see, okay, I remember what you did to me earlier. Let's go at it.
Holy cow. Chris, we were talking about him earlier. The man, the myth, the legend, JP Costa, 1,099 days ago. He and I called the final points-paying race in North American Racing League Porsche Cup competition at Sebring. That was back in Season 3. It's been 3 years and 3 days exactly. He is now in the YouTube chat. JP, it's so good to see you. So good to chat with you here at least a little bit, even if only through the YouTube chat. Battle for third, picking up Nicholas Mateo and Rodrigo Mies. This is kind of interesting. Again, plenty of names throughout the entire field that we just don't know yet. We're still learning. Rodrigo is one of them, along with second place Ross O'Connor. But we know Nicholas Mateo pretty well from that pro season last time around. He was lighting things up, getting wins left and right. It's interesting that he's outside of the podium currently, but he's trying to change that.
Yeah, we'll see. He could be trying to, be nice to those tires. I think that could come into play here probably pretty shortly. If you're, if we're not taking tires and these chew through them a little bit quicker like you mentioned, then that's definitely going to be something you want to keep an eye on, so that way you can maybe make some moves later in the race. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be able to watch Matteo. He was doing really well in the GT3 last season, and I didn't really get to see too much of that because I was always so far behind. I was just like, I'm sure he's up there somewhere, but I'd every once in a while just hear Matteo's leading the race, and that was about all I got from him. So it's cool to watch him race.
Running on board with Nicholas Matteo. JP, if you're out there on YouTube still, I gotta wonder how different things look. I know it's still mostly the same broadcast, but we've done some things over the years. As Hello Good Eyes, slow off of turn 6. That allows Pascucci to take advantage. Wallace just behind. And yes, JP, you are still our only broadcaster to fluently speak Portuguese and Spanish. Would love to get you back. We could do a 3-man, right, Chris? We could figure it out.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I could go down into the pits a little bit, maybe start trolling around the Discord, see if I can find somebody to talk to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we should figure that out at some point. Battle for 23rd spot overall. This is Miguel Alcrudo and Alex Esser. This is for your top 5, actually, in Pro-Am. 4th and 5th, to be exact. They're right behind Brian Scolari out of the Pro category. There's a car in between them. Scolari's a little farther up. Is that Jose Ramirez, potentially? No, that's his teammate, Jose Correa, actually, out of Puerto Rico in the number 6. Jose, unfortunately, a lap down. And here we go, Chris. Fabrizio into the pit lane out of Argentina. These are the leaders starting to hit the pit lane. He won the sprint race. He's first to the pit lane. That's surprising to me. Gonna take advantage here. No tires, fuel only, down and away, 9.5 seconds. That's quick.
That is quick. That is quick. That's a whole second he just made up on the last time we saw, so.
Scott Reister also in the pit lane. See what it is for Scott. Timer there, 10.10. That's not bad. I mean, it's a few tenths versus the guys up front, but those are the pros. He's a Pro-Am. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's still a pretty solid stop.
So he'll get down and away. He will actually blend in right behind Juan Blanat. So that's good company. If he's up there with Juan, he's doing all right.
Yeah, that's not a bad place to find yourself in.
Ralph Benitez, we'll see if he decides to pit this time around. We'll be down to 13 laps to go, roughly. And once the pit cycle completes, we'll, of course, go into our Driver of the Day nominations. Let's see. Do we see a stop here from Benitez? No. He'll fire past the pit lane, as will O'Connor, as will Miza, so on and so forth. You know what? It's the name of the game, Chris, but it makes it really tight on us to do our nominations for Driver of the Day, because I like waiting until the pits are complete, but it's going to be near 9 minutes by the time it is. Regardless, we continue on.
Yeah, it's a good idea to hold off, because you never know what might happen, especially with guys blending out onto the track right there as we see somebody coming down. Who's this? Looks like one of the Empire guys, maybe? Yeah,
Kaler there, followed by, I believe that's Dana Chasson. Yes, it is. Followed then by, still learning the new paint schemes, I believe that's Alcrudo, Ramirez, and Colon all hitting the pit lane. Belziti has just passed these guys for reference as the 57 gets down and away. That is Kaler. Quick stop there at 10.9. Ramirez waiting to leave the box. We're seeing Hassan, I think, take tires. Maybe a penalty, I'm not sure, but he has taken a while in the box. Cologne down and away, 10.07.
That's a good one.
So it's mostly as you would expect from that pit cycle, but a couple of oddities at the very least as we await our leaders in the pit lane. Final sector of the lap for them here. This is lap 17 of an expected 25. How much deeper can they go? The bumps there at quarter exit. Man, if these guys aren't careful, they will have to start paying some trips down the pit lane for drive-thrus, for instance.
The track limits can definitely bite you. That's not what you want to do in a field this large. As we see, here he comes, Benitez. We're going to see our leader come down the pits, followed by pretty much everybody behind him. Here we go. This is going to be a big one.
Everybody just about coming into the pit lane here. It's a busy, busy place. Look at this entire field. So far, the only leader to continue on is Jackson Resende. He's typically great at saving fuel, so he continues on to lap number 18. Everybody else so far, literally every other car so far has hit the pits. That trend continues down to 17th, 18th, 19th. And let's see, for 20th perhaps. Yep, 21st. They're all hitting the lane. Wow. How about a cut and dry pit cycle? One continued on. Who was that? That was actually Kaler, who pitted the last lap. That tells you just how many cars pitted right there on lap 17 onto 18.
Now that was huge. It looks like O'Connor and Benitez both had pretty good stops, so Benitez still out front. There was a couple cars that actually came out on top of each other, so it was a little bit of Z fighting while they were fighting for position.
And here we go.
Resende can do here.
The spreadsheet that we were handed lists him as DB United, but the insignia there on the side of the car reads Veneziano Racing for Jackson Resende. I noticed that livery just about matches Ralph Benitez's car, just albeit different colors. So it's interesting that they end up splitting strategy choices. There you see Ralph Benitez in second place. He's held on to the lead over Ross O'Connor and company, but Resende gonna hit the pit lane this time, I'd imagine. Yes, he will. So Resende will come in for service. He'll be the final driver in the entire field to do so.
Let's see, with the extra fuel saving, the extra distance that he went, see what he can do here for a stop. If he keeps it sub 10 seconds, maybe makes up some time here.
Waiting on that stop to wrap up. That driver right behind him releasing now looks to be Avery Hart potentially. Wow. 8.87, and correct me, that was Delgado, I think, out of the pit lane. But wow, that is a much quicker stop, and that puts Resende in the top 5. He's trying to blend in front of Saavedra. He'll let Saavedra have the outside into turn 2, but he's still got the spot. Saavedra on the outside. Can he get it? Yes. Not clear, though. It'll be a drag race down the curve away, as I called it, through turn 5 to turn 6.
This is going to be huge. Can he get this position and secure this top 5 and maybe start trying to look forward?
That's how close they are into the corner. Saavedra still on the outside, right to the exit curving. No relenting.
None. No lift. Let's do it, man. Okay, nice. He's going to be a little gentle with him here. He's going to try to switch it back on him, or is he going to carry it around the outside?
That's passed on.
Yep. And yeah, he couldn't switch it back on him because Montoro is right there, right on his bumper, waiting to snatch a place, snatch a little opportunistic position here. And he's going to have to defend, but that's going to be the end of Montoro's charge there. That's going to put him back quite a ways.
Boy, we do have the Porsche Experience Center here in the infield of Hockenheimring. I wonder if they accounted for a rallycross course. They're certainly building one out in turn 11. They just keep going farther and farther out into the gravel. Regardless, race leader Ralph Benitez hanging on here. Again, these races, by the way, the sprint race and the feature race, they are scored the same. And as far as the overall round winner and the payouts, that's scored on a 2-race basis, basically, putting the 2 results together. So an average of the whole night. These guys need to pay attention and be at the top of their game in both races. It is not just the sprint race that pays out. It's not just the feature race that pays out. It's the 2 of them weighted together. That format, of course, changing since the last time these guys ran Porsche Cup. Here's the battle for second. Not much of one. Ross O'Connor over Rodrigo Mies, rather. I'm still getting used to the names. David Toth, by the way, in 4th. And this was a driver I noticed after the pit cycle, Chris. He was able to somehow actually gain spots. His pit stop was longer, 10.1. But he was able to jump up some spots maybe right before the pit cycle. He was not in 4th beforehand. He is now.
Means he must have had some pretty mega in-lap and out-laps going on, so that's good. I really like that livery on his car, too. I gotta say, I know we don't do a best in show here, but it's a pretty good one. I like that. Maybe that's just me.
I do like it.
I like it.
It's simple. It's ornate. It's unique. Good stuff going on there for the
I can definitely
41.
spot him. Yeah, I can definitely spot him.
and Toth registering out of Hungary. We're getting a more unique and worldwide flavor here in this series. I like that as well. Chris, we're to that time. We've run a couple laps since the pit cycle. Who we got? Driver of the day.
Whew. Oh man, this is hard. I'm still learning everybody's names. There's been so many drivers. It's kind of hard to keep them straight here. So we gotta let's just remind me of the rules. We're doing one from each class each. So let's see. So
I'll even do this for you. Positions gained on the ticker for you.
That will help definitely. Well, yeah. Actually, I mean, Toth would be a good one. Him and Saavedra both, but. And I see Veloso down there next to Valero, so keep it nice and confusing for me. But Toth, honestly, get himself in the top 5. I think I'm going to go ahead and nominate him. You know, it's been a lot of chaos, a lot of bumping. He's up there with some really good guys. I don't really know this name from what I've been racing, so hopefully we get to see some more of him in the future. But I think he's having a really solid race, finding himself in P4. So I think I'll go ahead and have him for my pro driver. And, I mean, for Pro-Am, I'm going to go ahead and snatch him from you. Stavko, obvious choice. Got himself in first. We saw, you know, there was nobody that could keep up there in the sprint race. And there was a big gap, and we thought that was going to kind of make the difference. But there he is. He's made up 9 positions and found himself having a really good race on for the initial win. Knock on wood. I don't want to curse the guy. I know what that's like. So that'll be my Pro-Am.
And you know what? I'm going to go right to the front of the field for Pro, but I'm not going to go for the leader. Only because we know Ralph Benitez. And when we are getting used to these names, I like to give a little bit of preferential treatment to the new guys. I'm going to go for Ross O'Connor simply because we don't know him yet. So to me, this is an astounding performance to go second place here in the feature. And we talked about him a good bit even in the sprint race. So he's been a very common name so far this evening to get the season started. We know Ralph Benitez decently well at this point. I'm going to go ahead and go for one of the guys we don't know. That's the 714 of Ross O'Connor. We'll get that typed in and head over to the Pro-Am category. And down there, I think I'm just going to have to go easy. Second place, Gabriel Felipe. I mean, there's a couple of great honorable mentions, but a lot of these guys, I mean, they haven't really been able to get through too many of the pros, and we don't really expect that of them necessarily. I mean, top class versus bottom class technically of the race, but there's nobody else really excelling in my opinion. And sure, Felipe lost the lead here, but that's going to happen on these starts. We were 2 or 3 wide, especially at Hockenheim. So I'm going to give Gabriel the benefit of the doubt. He won the sprint race in class. Let's go for him again here as he's second in class. I'll get that vote up on YouTube. Keep an eye on it. It'll be going out literally in a few seconds. Remember, you've got options. You can only vote for 1, though. There's 4 options total, 2 from each class. That vote now live. You can only vote on YouTube. So if you're watching on a different platform, at least head to YouTube briefly. I know you can do it. You've got a smart device somewhere nearby. You can make that happen as we are into the final 3 minutes of racing thereabouts here at Hockenheimring. It does say 3 laps to go over on timing and scoring. With the pit stop, we may see them only hit 2 more laps. We'll see. By the way, that's a good read, actually, by Mark Booley out in the YouTube chat. There were a few drivers that spent extra time in the pit lane. Dino Filippo, one of them. It seems he may have been speeding on entry to the pit lane, possibly. That or something with damage, but I mean, we got a fast repair, so I don't think it was that. But look at the pit time, 43.4 seconds. Ooh. I would think that's a speeding penalty, if anything. Or even unsafe entry, possibly.
It's definitely hard to keep up with a field this large when we have more cars than we have minutes to cover everything. So it's good that we've got people also looking out and trying to help us. Yeah,
you see Brenta as well. And then Emiliano Almiron, long pit stop. Zach Deas, long pit stop. So a handful of them back here. Miguel Acrudo also spent a long time in the pit lane as Blas Diaz has had to hit the pits one more time. And there is some great battling kind of near the midfield. Take a look at this. You've got Victor Lobato, Brian Scolieri, Juan Blanat, Nathan Olson, These guys are doing a lot of battle here in the middle of the field trying to wrap this race up. That there was Alex Esser in Pro-Am being passed up by Adam Brockway in Pro. That was for 22nd in the overall category. Up the road is where you find Blanat and Olsen. And look at Belziti, fastest on the racetrack that lap.
Trying to put a stamp on it. He's really dominating this race.
I believe we're going to get one more lap after this, but it's going to be close. We can hit the flag stand camera to verify. No, this is the white flag.
There we go.
They did not have quite enough time at the stripe, so this will be the final time around Hockenheim Ring. It was that close. As Ralph Benitez leads the way, Ross O'Connor, Rodrigo Mies, and David Toth, your top four. Battle for fifth, actually, and sixth. Saavedra, I think, had a slowdown. Saavedra drops down to seventh. He was just fifth. He's now behind Montaro, who had that great battle with out of the pit lane, or rather it was Rosende. So now Saavedra behind the two of them, and just ahead of Belziti, Pascucci, and Wallace for your top 10. But Ralph Benitez, a couple of quarters to go to win here at Hockenheim.
That's what I kind of was mentioning earlier, where you just got to make sure you put yourself at least close enough that if someone makes a mistake, you can capitalize on it. And as we would expect from Jackson Resende, he was close enough to capitalize on that, and he's going to get himself a top 5. So I think he might deserve an honorable mention. We know he's always really solid. And here he comes.
In the sprint race, it was the Argentinian of Belziti. In the feature race, it is the Brazilian of Ralph Benitez. To victory lane goes the 43 at Hockenheim Ring. Checkered flag on the feature race. There's still a battle back here for Pro-Am. Stofko, though, able to put enough time between himself and Gabriel Felipe across the stripe. Stofko will grab himself an overall a class win. There we go. In the North American Racing League. It's all coming apart here right at the end, Chris, but what a great race to get this season started, to get back to Porsche Cup racing.
Definitely a good one to bring it back. I mean, the door banging we've seen in this race, are we going to see something late? I think he's a little far back. Just kind of want to bring it home. No need to push it too much here if you're these guys. Just kind of wrap it up and let's move on to the next one.
Onto the front straightaway. This is one of the final battles on the racetrack. Leandro Worrell finishes behind Scott Kimbrough. You've also got Felipe Brenta behind Miguel Alcrudo. And yeah, you're right. These are guys that had bad luck in some way, shape, or form. They just want to get back to the stripe. No need to do anything crazy. Just get back around, accept the points, and that this might be one of your drop rounds.
Yep, luckily you got that. So it's not the end of the world, but it is rough when you're using that drop on the first race of the season. That puts a lot of pressure on you going forward, which tends to be, depending on the driver, kind of a compounding issue, because then you're worried about not, using your drop, or that you can't use a drop. So great race, a lot of wheel banging. I mean, a lot of bent fenders and bumpers all throughout the field. Some nice clean looking liveries there.
Yeah, Ralph Benitez with his teammate Jackson Resende coasting down the curveway at turn 5 to turn 6. And then how about Jacob Stofko? Let's run the graphic for him as well in the 34 car. He deserves it. There we go. Jacob Stofko, race winner in Pro-Am. He has come a long way in just a couple of short seasons. Good to see that for Jacob, and hopefully we're talking to him. Of course, we're talking to him tonight, but hopefully we're talking to him a lot more. He has been a lot of fun to watch these last couple of seasons. Back end, really, of Season 9 in GT3, and now to kick off Season 4 in Porsche Cup. Bear with us. We'll, of course, head back into the replays here briefly and talk with our top 2 of each class. They're headed our way already, it seems like, so we'll also take a look at our unofficial race results here. Been a lot of fun at Hockenheim Ring. Round 1 for the pros is done up. We've also got AM next week right back here at the very same circuit. But let's dive into those unofficial race results. Chris Winstone, of course, on top. Ralph Benitez with the feature win, we should say. Ross O'Connor second, and Rodrigo Mies in third. David Toth, Jackson Resende, your top 5. Montaro, Saavedra, Belziti, Pascucci, and Wallace, your top 10. How about that? Ross O'Connor and Luke Wallace getting impulse back here in the series. Good to see them both in the top 10. A couple of teammate pairs. You also have Benitez and Resende both in the top 5 even. So a couple of teammate pairs doing really well this evening. And they'll already have a kickstart to this team championship, Chris.
It's always what you want. And we move down to the rest of the top 20. We got Paulo Gadai, always really strong, but he finds himself outside of the top 10 this time. In 12th, we have Victor Veloso, followed by our Pro-Am winner, so the first winner of Pro-Am for this season, Jacob Stofko, so congratulations to him. And behind him, not too far back, actually, Gabriel Felipe. Then we have another pro of Juan Segundo Valero, followed by our P3 Pro-Am, William Kaler. Then we have Victor Lobato, Brian Scolieri, Adam Meseros, and Juan Blaine rounds out the top 20.
Down in 21st spot, you'll find Nathan Olson and Adam Brockway in 22nd. Rather close together, followed by Alex Messer, Jose Ramirez, and Scott Reister, your front half of the field. Good to see Scott in the top half. Noel Marone finishes 26th. Not the start he wanted to his pro career here in NARL, followed by Fabio Zamperlini, Miguel Colon, Scott Kimbrough, some Pro-Ams, and then Dana Chasson there in 30th. A little ways back, he clearly had some trouble in this race.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the story going back from here. Obviously, we can see Avery Hart 31st, Dino Felipe 32nd. We got a few pros. This is going to be the tale of things that got away here. Miguel Acrudo in 33rd, Felipe Brenta in 34th, Emiliano Almiron 35th, Zach Deus in 36th, then another pro in Leandro Whirl in 37th, 38th, Ricardo Delgado, 39th, Blas Diaz, and 40th, Jose Correa.
And a little farther back, 41st spot, how about Nicholas Mateo? Boy, that hurts for the 5 car. He was up towards the front. Something happened to him, it seems, in the pit stops as well. It was Felipe and Mateo. I was trying to figure out who the 2 cars were that we were suddenly missing from the top 5. Mateo was the other one. Ignacio Inza there in 42nd. Pedro de Oliveira in 43rd. Leandro Lanzendorf in 44th spot, followed by Manuel Troncoso in 45th. You're back 5. Painful here. All 20 laps down or more. Mike Braun, Bruno Enrique, Kaike Piropo, Pedro Berger, and Ricardo Rico. Anytime you see that 1 in NARL, that is a reigning series champion. Ricardo Rico, after the championship last time in Porsche Cup, 3 years and 3 days ago, unfortunately dead last here in the feature race. That is going to sting. Let's go ahead and talk with our pro drivers. Of course, we'll start off with our race winner, Ralph Benitez. And Ralph, this is certainly a great way to kick the season off. A race win here at Hockenheim. Of course, it's not just the feature race, but a great way to get the season started is to win the feature. How did the sprint race go for you first?
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. And in first, sorry, my bad English, but...
Oh, yeah, you can always Spanish, Portuguese, whatever works for you and anyone else. Yep.
Can português?
Yeah, go for it.
Ok, thanks. Não, foi uma corrida boa. A primeira corrida eu tentei me manter em 8º ali para poder, né, pegar a inversão de grid e foi que eu fiz. Eu só fiquei comboiando ali o Ross, que estava na 7ª posição. Não quis passar ele, não quis brigar. Eu quis só me manter ali em 8º para poder chegar em 8º, né, poder pegar a inversão de grid, e foi o que aconteceu. Eu acabei me surpreendendo com o meu pace, né, de conseguir manter a primeira posição. Achei que ia vir a galera toda para cima ali e eu ia ter que negociar ali as posições, mas acabou que eu consegui manter um bom ritmo ali em primeiro. Até porque seguir no vácuo estava muito difícil nessa corrida, era bem difícil. Então eu sabia que se eu mantivesse a primeira posição, o pessoal atrás ia ter que meio que se virar ali com as brigas. Então foi o que eu fiz, mantive a primeira posição. No pit stop tentei me concentrar ali para não errar na entrada, né? Porque acaba dando bandeira preta. Mas enfim, foi isso. Muito feliz, muito feliz com essa vitória. Acho que é a primeira que eu ganho aqui na liga. Então eu estou muito feliz de estar correndo aqui, já é uma honra. Então é isso, é uma felicidade inexplicável. Queria agradecer a todo mundo que me apoia, principalmente meu pai, que a gente passou por uns bons bocados aí esses últimos tempos aí, mas estamos aí junto de novo. Obrigado, pai, por tudo. Agradecer a meu sogro, que também está com um probleminha de saúde, mas estamos juntos sempre. Minha mulher Patrícia, os meus filhos Oliver e Laura, eu amo muito eles. E meu companheiro de equipe Jackson, que, pô, o cara é sensacional, Jackson Rezende. Tá sempre me ajudando, sempre me dando dica. E se não fosse por ele, eu também não ia ter esse ritmo aí. Então é isso, obrigado a vocês da transmissão, da organização. Obrigado por tudo, sou muito grato por essa liga. E vamos treinar para a próxima, manter o foco. E é isso. Muito obrigado a todos. Agradecer ao Veneziano, que eu estou na equipe do Veneziano agora, na DB United. E mandar um abraço para ele. Valeu, Veneziano, pela oportunidade. Tamo junto. E é isso. Bora para a próxima. E obrigado e boa noite. Thanks, guys.
And Ralph, I will say, I don't know if you knew this, but we had JP Costa, one of our former commentators, who is native to Brazil, translating that whole interview for us. I do want to ask, Ralph, of course, this is a kind of brand new car, considering we haven't run this car in NARL before. We've run past Porsche Cup cars, but that was 3 years ago. What can we expect going forward? And again, you can answer in Portuguese, that's fine, but what can we expect going forward this season? Will we ever see tire changes, maybe even at Le Mans? Will that ever be a concern, even Sebring? Also, just how is the ABS system so far, since that's technically in play in this car now?
Cara, sinceramente, eu cada vez que o jogo muda, que tem uma atualização, seja no ABS, seja pneu principalmente, que há muitos anos o jogo atualiza, acaba que no fim sempre sendo a mesma coisa. Então, basta treinar, basta estar sempre focado, se adaptar com as novas mudanças. E é isso, acho que não sei se eu respondi correto, acho que sim, mas acho que não tem muito o que esperar não, é só treinar, se adaptar ao o carro do jeito que ele tá. E não dá para escolher muito, né? É isso que a gente tem na mão e é isso. É só treinar e se adaptar.
Hey, Ralph, thank you for your time. Congratulations on the win this evening. I think you led, every single lap, it looks like, or pretty close to it, maybe all but one in this feature race. Good to talk to you. Best of luck. Hopefully we're talking to you a lot more this season.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Good night.
Ralph Benitez with a strong opening here to the new Porsche Cup season. Let's grab our other winner. Here he is, Chris Winstone. It's going to be Jacob Stofko winning down in Pro-Am.
All right, yeah, our Pro-Am winner, Jacob Stofko. Great drive there. You know, the sprint race kind of was a little chaotic. Did you have the pace the whole time to maybe win the sprint race? Did you get it's with that many drivers, with that many cars on track, it's kind of hard for us to keep track of an incident that big. Did you get caught up in that lap one incident in the sprint race?
No, hey, welcome. Thank you for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I mean, I knew that the race will be all about surviving. I've done a previous season with GT3s, and with such an equal field and everyone being so leveled with pace, it's always first 3-5 laps. It's all about surviving, and I think I managed to do well. The first 3-4 laps, I managed to avoid all the chaos. I mean, in the sprint race, I was a little bit held up by a few cars trying to avoid. To be honest, I feel like everyone has a pace to be on pace and you know, getting podiums. So it's all about not all about by the luck, but also, you know, about how you can avoid things around you.
Yeah, it's one thing we're always touching on with these leagues is, like you said, everybody's so close on pace and with a big field. So, I mean, you said everybody's kind of got the pace there. So was it kind of more of a strategy game where you kind of managing tires? You know, I'm not the most familiar with the Porsche Cup cars, so I'm kind of learning as we go. So I'm kind of interested in your feedback. Like, I saw nobody taking tires, and they said we're probably not going to do that. So how were those at the end of the race? Did you feel like you were stretching them pretty well?
To be honest, I'm also new to Cup Car. I've been doing GT3s for past 2 years, and I've done Cup Car like 3 years ago when the Cup Car was with no ABS and TC. So it's also new for me. I was also learning stuff throughout the race. Even the 40-minute race, I was still figuring it out how car behaves on used tires, and I feel like I was losing a bunch of pace over there. So also something new to me, and I need to learn. But yeah, I feel like It was more about rather than strategy of dealing with tires, more about like I said, trying to manage traffic, avoid collision at the beginning, don't get in unnecessary dangerous collisions or fights with pro and other guys who want to go forward.
Well, you did everything right. You got yourself a win. It was for learning on the job. That's a pretty good result for having to still pick up the car. So, congratulations on the first feature win of the season. And you got anybody you want to shout out?
No, I mean, it's basically all good. I mean, I don't have anyone to shout out. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying. Shout out to mainly the guys who are putting these leagues together. I mean, for the money that you put in, you can get such a great prize money, which is super, super rewarding. Yeah, the guys who are organizing these leagues putting their time into it and probably having zero or maybe very little profit. So it's highly appreciated. And thanks for guys who are putting these tickets together.
All right, thanks, Jacob. Enjoy your win, enjoy your well-deserved payout, and I hope we get to see you and talk to you a little bit more throughout the season. Good work.
Thank you. Bye.
And to piggyback off of what Jacob just said, a big thank you to Scott Reister and everybody behind this series. There's a lot of moving pieces to make it all happen. Maradness, Love46, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening. She's been working a lot on the social media side. I got to say, doing a fantastic job. A lot of great reels and content heading out on Instagram specifically for the North American Racing League, as well as Screw Compressor Service Incorporated and Rocket Designs, helping out with this series season in, season out. On to the next driver. We are actually going to grab Ross O'Connor, position number 2 in Pro. And boy, it's good to see the Impulse cars back in NARL here, Ross. And clearly, you guys have this Porsche Cup thing figured out nicely. What was it like, though, in a field of 50 at the green flag for the first race of the season?
Oh, man, it's pretty intense. The field goes so deep here. There's a lot of strong guys. I mean, we are all so close in pace. It's you make one mistake, and that's 10 positions. So I think the biggest thing really was just trying to keep out of trouble and just do consistent laps, try and hit your marks.
You know, we know Ralph Benitez from the GT3 side a little bit already, so when nominating a driver for Driver of the Day today, I said, you know what? We don't know this Ross guy just yet. Let's give him the honorary nod in for a nomination for Driver of the Day. You're leading the vote right now. Actually, well, yeah, you are, by 7% currently over David Toth. What does that mean to you, to enter this league and already be considered for Driver of the Day, going P2 here in the feature race?
Oh, it's an honor. I definitely feel like I'm a rookie to the sim racing scene. So to be able to compete with these guys and get recognized, I mean, I appreciate it a ton. So I guess thank you to the fans, but we'll see if we can keep it up.
Ross, you're telling me you're a rookie and a 9,000 I rating?
Yes. This is been sim racing for a year and a half, so.
Ross, in a couple weeks, I hit 10 years in the sim, my road I rating. Granted, I broadcast 95% of the time. My road I rating is under 2,000. Anyways, Ross, congratulations. Good to talk to you this evening, and hopefully we're talking to you a lot this season. Seems like we will be.
Thank you very much, guys.
The rookie has already got 9 times the I rating I've got, Chris. Oh. Anyways. Yeah, down to second place. At least I don't think we have second place. Gabriel Felipe, I don't think he's joined the Discord, so we'll go to third then in Pro-Am. Here is William Kaler for you.
William Kaler, we got third place in Pro-Am. Nice result there. Started out pretty far back in the field, but you managed to work yourself up a little bit. So how was the first race of the season? How did you like the Porsche Cup?
I've always been a little bit of a fan of it, but it's been a crazy race. That heat race making up, I think, 17 places. That was pretty cool for me. And then I was able to capitalize on that, make up another 7 in the feature race. And yeah, I was pretty sweaty during the entire race, going up against a bunch of pros in my first ever pro level race. But yeah, it was awesome.
There's nothing like just jumping off the deep end for your first time, so that's really good. I mean, especially we saw a lot of I'd say, controlled aggression throughout the race. There was a lot of door banging, and I noticed probably half the cars had bent fenders. So, how did you just keep yourself clean in order to just like survive and work your way through such a chaotic field?
Honestly, I don't know. I think one of my traits is keeping it clean. I just, kept the brake bias a bit forward so I wouldn't spin at all. Tried to stay off the curbs a little bit. And I did have some crazy battles with people, so it wasn't all clean. I did get my hands dirty a little, but yeah, I honestly don't know how I did it. How I kept it clean.
Well, I mean, sometimes a little bit of luck goes a long way, and I think if you're one of the drivers that keeps it clean, I think that's going to really help you here. We've heard that everybody's got, as we heard from one of the other drivers, he said he feels like everybody's pretty much got the pace to compete at the front. So I'm hoping that we'll see you up there. Did you think maybe that you could have gotten up there a little bit further, or did you just start a little bit too far back this time?
I think I could have, yeah. Starting really far back in the heat race, that was definitely hard to make up those positions for the feature race, and that definitely set me back. But I also made a bit of a miscalculation on my fuel. I did pit a lap early than the rest, but I made that miscalculation, and that kind of cost me, I think, 2 spots. But I think I'm very happy exactly where I am. I honestly couldn't be happier.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a great result. Well deserved. You did a great job moving through the field. I would imagine we'll probably see you, hopefully, a few more times. Hopefully we get to talk to you. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do in the next one, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good to hear from William on his run this evening to go 3rd place in Pro-Am. We'll also talk with our 3rd place finisher in Pro. And, we typically try to keep these interviews a little bit condensed because there's so many drivers to talk to. But Rodrigo, you finished 3rd place in Pro. And I want to get, first off, clear pronunciation on your last name.
Yeah, hello guys. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, my last name is pronounced Mets.
Okay.
No, yeah.
So like the New York Mets.
Yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, I always make that comparison.
Fair enough. Well, Rodrigo, good to talk to you. Of course, we've got a lot of names to learn. We recognize about half. We don't recognize about half. You're one of the half that we don't recognize. What should we know about Rodrigo Mets this season, and what was it like out there in a field of 50 taking the green flag to start this season off?
Well, I try to be fast always. I'm a very competitive guy. I also work in real life in the Porsche Carrera Cup Series Chile, so I think I have a bit of experience in these cars. But yeah, I look to be on the podium all the season. That's my main objective.
I'd say you have some experience then in the Porsche Cup cars, and so I'm curious then for a technical question. I've talked a little bit about it with Ralph earlier, but admittedly he was speaking Portuguese and I didn't understand his answer. So, how do we feel about this ABS system on this 992.2? I know it's technically there, at least in my experience. Granted, I have a literal fraction of the iRating you guys have. In my experience, it didn't seem to be doing a whole lot in most braking zones, but it seems like maybe it helps in some of the faster speed corners where you got to kind of tap the brake to not lock a wheel.
Well, I have a real experience in the 997 Cup that also comes with ABS depending on the customer. And I think it has still like some work to do. It's a real it's better for racing, I think, but to be fast in this car in the sim, it's a bit complicated with the brake. It's not very logical of what you expect of a Porsche Cup, but we are trying to find out how to be faster and faster in this car. I think the ABS is a bit too aggressive. Like if you engage the ABS before a corner, then the grip goes all the way. So that's a bit complicated.
Well, Rodrigo, it's going to be a learning experience for all of us here this season. Good to talk to you, and hopefully we're talking to you more.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, guys. Hope I'll be here again next race.
I think you will be. Rodrigo Metz goes third place in Pro this evening. Good to chat with a new driver, another new driver there in the field. And I always like, if we have an opportunity, let's go ahead and, grab one more maybe and talk to these guys and learn some new names and some new stories. And just like that, Chris. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known. We've got a driver that works on these cars in the real world down in Chile in this field. So he goes third place tonight. We'll be talking about him, I'm sure, a whole lot more this season. We do also have that driver of the day vote coming down to a close, and wouldn't you know it, Ross O'Connor is going to be the winner of the very first Driver of the Day award here in season number 4 for Porsche Cup. So congratulations to Ross. I think that's very well deserved. I think he and Ralph would have been a fun matchup, but very cool for Ross to get that his first race here with this series. I'm looking forward to what these guys can do at Sebring next round. I know that's a little ways out there, Chris, but we do have AMS to look forward to next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I mean, this one was an absolute banger, so it's like almost literally, I think, at a lot of times. So we'll see what the AMs do. They tend to keep it a little bit more clean. They're trying to learn. They're not trying to ruffle too many feathers, but they still get elbows out. There's still a little bit of aggression going on, and obviously you've got people learning. So I'm really excited to see what the AMs do around this track.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The amateur drivers, I'm sure we'll have a field of 40 to 50 just like this evening, and that's all single class versus this being 2 class, and that changes some things. I mean, in these races, the pro races, everybody scored together, then split into classes later, so it's not too different from the single class racing, but you do know that once you really get a couple laps in, you can start to let some of the pros go by if you are a pro-am, if it really comes to it. If it comes to racing this pro as a pro-am or letting him by and staying in the race versus crashing, at that point you should, I would think, be taking the route that keeps you in the race longer, right, and not be in that crash. So that comes into play in these races. That won't matter next week when we release the amateur drivers on the field. That's going to be a little chaotic. I expect. I haven't seen the registration yet from Scott. I think it's around the same numbers. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys attack this same racetrack in a week's time. And then, of course, the pros will continue on at Sebring on July the 16th. We've got a little bit of racing here on the pit stop side before then. Let's take a look at that. Of course, tomorrow night, Nashville Super Speedway. I'm excited for that. Trucks on the racetrack. Chris, I know you expect to be in that field again tomorrow evening. That should be fun. It looks like we're slated for 90 laps, I've just been informed. And then Sunday, Sonoma Raceway, the All-American Racing Network. That'll be exciting. NASCAR Cup cars, the current generation that was just at Qualcomm's circuit at Naval Base Coronado in San Diego, California. Those same cars are headed to Sonoma Raceway this Sunday. Should be a lot of fun. Chris will be in that field as well. And then Monday, we have really sweet talked you into this one. 52 laps at Circuit Jules Villeneuve with the 2003 NASCAR Cup cars mimicking the 2005 NASCAR Cup Series season. But you might be saying, Andrew, wait, Cup never went to Montreal. You're correct. These guys started with the 2004 season last year in 2025 and are kind of simulating it from there. They're allowed to make some team changes, some schedule changes, importantly, and I hear there are some rumblings of another road course for 2006. That'll be next season, technically in 2027, a new road course hitting the schedule. We'll talk more about that in the pre-race show Monday evening. You've got to be there to see it. But yeah, Chris, you're going to another oval car on a road course this time. That is a different kind of battle. You're not going through 5 gears, it's only 4. And I mean, this is 3 races we're looking at on the channel. They're all stock cars and you're in all of them. I mean, how have we done this?
I don't know. I don't know how.
We've taken the GT racer and made him a stock car racer.
It's fun. It's so much fun. It's very different too, because one thing, like in these races, you might be in a Discord with like one teammate, maybe a couple. But I mean, in the oval stuff, it's a lot of time everybody just hanging out in a Discord. You can hear each other talking, and it's just a lot more. I don't know. The strategy is different. I'm really enjoying it. It's at this point, I'm signed up for just about anything and everything I can get behind the wheel of. So
yeah, we even had you in Legends last night at Sobo.
Yep, I've done a little bit of Legends, done a little bit of Indy cars. So I got to look for. What else haven't I driven? Let's go try that. So I'm looking forward to all 3 of those races. They're going to be great. Hopefully people come out and watch them.
Well, make sure to follow us all over social media. You see the links there at the bottom of your screen. Make sure to check in with everything Pitstop TV has got going on, including some news. I can't say just yet. Some news in the next couple of weeks that if you enjoy NASCAR racing on iRacing, you'll want to pay attention to. That's all I'll say for now. A big thank you to everybody who makes these races possible. Of course, the North American Racing League, powered by a handful of partners. Moradness, particularly, they have been here maybe not since day one, but very close to. Daniel Morad, a great supporter here of the series, always putting up some grab bags of merch as well for these drivers. There's always raffles of different sim racing equipment and stuff. It's directly powered by NARL and by Moradness. Also, Love 46 putting in some blood, sweat, and tears on the social media side. I know she couldn't be here tonight, but she will be here for some of these races at the very least this season, and doing a lot of great work over on the social media side, particularly on Instagram. Yes, NARL has an Instagram, and she has been working her magic over there. It's been great. Also, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated and Rocket Designs helping make this league possible, and our partners here at the channel, as I see Matt Vorndren check in the YouTube chat. A big thank you to Whiplash Simcams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murder Esports, CC's Business, North American Racing League, Whiplash Creative, and TZO Designs. Zach Murtis, I know we didn't get a Murtis Megamis in there for you tonight, but we're thinking of you, buddy, and hopefully we'll be talking to him again soon, as there's a lot of great racing all over the place to check in with. We've got plenty going on. The next 3 broadcasts not very far away. Make sure to tune in. All of it happening very quickly here at Pitstop TV. Thanks for joining us this evening. Chris, any final departing thoughts from Hockenheim?
Oh, my head is just swimming with them. It's just so much. 50 cars, tons of chaos. I mean, I don't think the next one can come fast enough. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. I like the sound of that. Again, thanks for watching this evening. It's been a pleasure as always. We'll see you in the next one for the North American Racing League. That's July 16th for the pros. Otherwise, a week from today, July 2nd for the amateurs, when they come right back here to Hockenheim. For us, though, we're back in action tomorrow night. Trucks, Nashville, the way you want it to be. We'll see you then.